Good afternoon, everyone. This is Phil. I was wondering how everybody's doing today, this Friday. Hope you enjoy your weekend and you are being safe. I am a proponent of anything that will get you through a rough time, make you self-sufficient, better your life, something that may make your life easier, but I don't mean slothy, I just mean easier, and efficiently. And watching many YouTube videos, I see many YouTube videos that show, they basically highlight a product, they're testing it out, they're doing a review. Some are commentary about tactical, and I'm more of a practical guy. So this is more of a tactical type video. And when I think about tactical, the first thing that comes to my mind is ex-police officers that don't know how to do anything else, so they're promoting a certain product, or they promote training, and they make it sound so good that all these different people should get their training or buy their product, or they endorse it, or all these military men, God bless them, come back to America in the States, and they get hired on. And the police officers and the ex-military, special forces, allegedly, and all these badasses, whether they're police or not, whether they're military men or not, endorse products and they need to make a living. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I see all these tactical products. Mind you, I like newer and better guns every day they come out. Not that I can afford them or to buy all of them, and I will choose one or two occasionally in purchase. Just because it's a sexy looking gun and just because it's got the firepower I demand and its reliability. Actually, you can scratch one of those off. It doesn't have to be sexy looking. It can look like a freaking high point, blocky, what have you. I love high points. Don't get me wrong. They actually look cool. They look like a space gun from something you'd see in the 60s or the 50s. The sci-fi movies of old. But what I'm getting at is there is not a need for more and more and more just because a supposed expert tells you that you need to upgrade. Okay, the neatest invention I've seen since, running water in a house when it comes to guns is the folding Glock. Okay, whatever company worked with Glock to make that folding Glock. I forgot the exact name, excuse me. That's big and bulky too when you put it in your pants pocket, and I could see the outline almost immediately if you walk by me. Okay? But it is bigger like perhaps a day book that you unzip, and people might not even pay attention to it. But you'd still have the same firepower as a Glock 17 put in your pocket. And that would show, or imprint as they say technically, that would show through your pocket, your pants pocket really quick. And not many people want a free ball with their Glock just inside their belt. Okay? That is one interesting product I would like to own. But does it mean I'm being tactical when I buy that and I put it in my pants pocket? No, I'm just not making a bigger deal about displaying my handgun. And I'm not trying to raise offense to anyone wherever I travel. Okay? Mind you, I'm very respectful of the laws in the state of Virginia for government property, not having handguns or weapons on that property, especially communication depots, especially weapons depots, especially courts of law, so they can enforce the law in that court without any kind of terrorist or political terrorism taking place to overrun justice. So that's a product I think is pretty cool, and I'd love to have it because it serves its purpose. It can be sort of, I guess if the word is clandestine for you, and tactical. But there's only really, if you look at the definition of tactical, there's only, it's a very easy word to define. It's basically how you use tactics. So yes, there's two things about being tactical. There's the equipment you use, and there is what you do. Okay? I believe it is always better to be practical with any weapon system and not buy a bunch of fluff that breaks sooner and you feel you've been had, and you should devote that money to stockpiling the basics, whether it's food, whether it's ammunition, whether it is a good horde of weapons. Let us not forget, or perhaps being tactical and making your premises safer by perhaps having a homestead in the woods deeper, having it fortified. Maybe there's a fallout shelter or a bomb shelter that you can add on to it. Maybe you can put on bars around your windows. Perhaps you can put bullet-resistant windows up in your house. Yes, these are all viable things. But you wouldn't really announce it either, would you? No, you wouldn't. So I think about tactical, and I want to be practical. When it comes to a handgun, I want a handgun that works, that's enough capacity to protect me, especially when dealing with a terroristic group. That means terrorists as a professional or terrorists as a novice group, like Antifa, which they are. That means I have something as simple as a Glock 17, which is 17 rounds plus one. At the very bare minimum. I don't need an extra scope on top so I can sit there and, get that red dot right here, center mass. I know what center mass is by my sights and just practicing. Very cheaply in the woods. Quick draw. How I advance on a suspect or someone who wishes me harm. How I basically retreat behind cover. Cover I am always thinking of when I am engaging an enemy. Okay? Do I need a Serpa holster for my Glock? Nope. And I'll probably never buy one either. My leather holster does just fine. My leather holster on the force did just fine when I was undercover and I had to go to court almost every day of my career. Yeah, when that happens when you're a vice detective. But in any event, you can see where I'm going with this. I'm not going to invest in 15 million different holsters when I can buy a couple leather holsters over the years that still last and serve my purpose. I would never be tactical and wear a shoulder holster because of the danger involved. There is nobody in the world that should be wearing a shoulder holster. That's my personal opinion. Because once they're harried and hurried, pulling that out, they can blow their arm off or their side off. And another holster I feel there's no need for is an interior pancreas holster aiming at my nuts. Or an interior holster aiming at my ass. Yeah, it's in the small of the back, and chances are you won't see it unless someone comes behind you and gives you a hug, or they do a side hug when they're walking with you. Okay? But how deep cover are you? You need that. I'm a bigger guy, but I can wear a big, bulky 3X shirt, and I can put one holster on my side, and most of the time, you never see it. If I turn sideways this way to the left, perhaps it would imprint some, but it's sleek enough and smooth enough against my frame. I feel all that extra bullshit that is endorsed by all of these ex-veterans, or veterans, but ex-military, I show respect to them. I'm an ex-veteran myself. I'm a veteran of domestic wars, trust me. Okay? But a lot of their training techniques also I am not for either, because it's kind of ignorant. That's another story. They have great input because of a wartime situation. But let me tell you something, okay? Police officers train every day of their life, especially in the big city, to engage an enemy every minute of that 8 hours. Okay? You can't say that about every excursion for every military unit. Yes, they are on high alert, but they are not engaged with people, actually, every single incursion or excursion. When they leave base and they're going to find an enemy. It doesn't happen all the time. It's high stress. I wouldn't want to do it now at age 50. War is a younger man's sport. But I believe practical is better to combat all those people that think that they're going to harm me or my family. So the training part is ingrained in my head. How quick can I pull out that pistol, engage an enemy, 2 shots to the chest, 1 to the head at 15 yards, holster my weapon. Now I'm thinking that while I'm doing that, moving closer, okay, especially if it's just mano a mano and I got the drop on them, or retreating or finding cover. I am always seeking cover. Whether I'm advancing against a multi-person force, terrorist force, or not. Okay? In that case, it's 2 shots to the chest, 2 shots to the chest. And then when they're falling, they're still tweaking. Sorry. It's headshots from there on out. Okay? I raise my base level activity of protection that high every single time I fire. And there can be some Joe got 1 shooting training class and has a good, quick, and calm draw and can line up on me and can take me out perhaps within a split second earlier. I've always been lucky on the force, however. And I've always felt like God was on my side with speed and acquiring a target and eliminating a target. Or at least eliminating the situation. Now, when we think about tactical, think about the tactics in your everyday life. How do you fortify your house that's right there on the corner? Do you need to put ADT or some alarm system in there? Sure. How about when you leave every day and no one else is in the house? That might be a good idea. How about a safe for your handguns? How about a strategic rifle, shotgun, or handgun in your house so if there is a break-in, you know there's a break-in, you can retreat to that one safe room and retrieve that handgun as a last resort. Okay? How about always having a handgun near you? You know how they say underneath your pillow? I wouldn't go that far. But how about in the drawer next to you? How about on top of the nightstand right next to you? Okay? There's not much more security you need after that. But then again, you got to remember family. You got to be safe. Do you work out a plan with your family where to retreat in case of a break-in? Okay? Do you know where your family is at all times so you don't mistake them as a suspect breaking into your house? Do they know protocol, what to do when they're coming into the house? It's very simple. You might not know it's your son, daughter, or your wife coming in, and they say the word cherry. That means you know automatically it's her, everything is fine. Or rotten apple. If something is bad and something is following your family into the house and you don't know about it yet. Those are tactical ways you can prepare your family to protect themselves. You have every right and duty to do that. Not only here in America, but in God's law. So I think of what you do and I think of what you use. With a rifle, unless you're a guaranteed sniper of some kind of security force, okay, you want the best, probably optic you can find. But then again, you probably shoot 8 hours a day, every day of the week as your job. If you don't do that, why do you need such a big optic to think you're a sniper? Basic marksmanship skills will save you every time with a rear sight and a front sight. And basic skills you practice ever since you were a teenager. That's what will save you if you're a sniper. Hell, if you're just a regular Joe military man off the block and you join a squad, what about tactics? You might have a community squad of militia that are working together. Okay, that's fine. Tactics, I'm thinking, tactics, how you approach an enemy, how you defend yourself if there is no enemy there, or op force. Have you ever thought of the squads? You're not going to bug out on foot by yourself. Let me tell you something, you're not. You're going to need your family, and you'll most likely be with a lot of other people if the EMP strike goes off. Okay? Because that EMP strike was probably caused by a nuclear holocaust in one of our cities. So, have you thought about squad formations? Usually, we march out in column down one side of the road close to the tree line. So, an op force way ahead sees only one person or a whole line of them and can't line up so many targets and eliminate a lot of people all at once. What about going through the woods? What about a full flank? If I'm the squad leader and I say full flank right, lay down a suppressive amount of fire, or full flank left to my left side, do you think of things like this using tactics? And how well can you engage a target at 300 yards standing? Someone shoots fire at you and your squad, and you're just sitting there, oh, I'm going to duck down. You know, a lot of people are getting torn up by this fucking sniper. You have to put down a suppressive amount of fire as you're getting down, as you're seeking cover and concealment. What about arrow left and arrow right? It's sort of hard to describe, but one side of the arrow where you have less men, you're not anticipating an actionary force on one side, but you have more of your men lined up on the other side as you move forward like an arrow, going forward through any kind of forest, any kind of home, or urban warfare, even the desert, which you would spread out even more. The more open the area is, the more you spread out. The more condensed it is, the closer you all are supposed to be together. Okay? But arrow right would mean that you have more men on the right side when that arrow is moving forward towards an object, and that rear person on the very right side is responsible for rear security and his side to the far right. And then if it's rear left arrow, the left guy at the line where the most men are on the left side, he is in charge of the rear and to the left. Okay? So the opposite end always has less men, but they protect everything to the side and forward. Okay? These are tactics. These are tactics the regular gun nut snob, like I like to be once in a while, do not think of. They think of the new scope. They think of a 100-round, drum. They think of all this high-tech bullets and in rounds and all this stuff. Oh, yeah. I got this expandable round that's going to expand and automatically kill, and stop whoever I want, who comes in my house, and I'm going to kill them deader than shit. No, you're not. A lot of those times, those bullets don't even work properly. Every handgun has the potential to break down. Every round, especially, even the most expensive rounds, can break down. You can have a bad primer in there. It happens. Quality control sometimes minimizes it, but how about a good hollow point? A simple hollow point may be the only type of tactical ammunition you want to buy. I personally like stockpiling ball ammo. It does its job, and I'm not planning on shooting a bunch of people behind my target and my enemy that's trying to kill me. Once or twice in the chest, in the head. I'm not just going to let loose and be like, Charles Bronson and bust off a million rounds at once. I'm sorry. It just doesn't happen that way, and I don't want to be legally liable for other people's harm, because you can still be sued. So anyways, think about tactical and think about how you go about everyday life being safe. Tactical could be even, loading up your car before you go to work. Making sure your truck gun is in the right place. Making sure it's locked down every chance, but you can get to it easier. You don't want it stolen in a break-in, a vehicle break-in. Okay? What about your pistols on you? What about another stowaway gun? Okay? I have a magnet underneath my steering wheel. I can put a little .22 pistol there anytime I want. Why? I might not be able to get to my number one sidearm. Someone might be trying to carjack me. Okay? Think practical when you're thinking tactical. If I can stress anything in the world, save your money, stockpile all the ammo you can for all the guns you have. Then make sure you stockpile food. You make sure you stockpile water. Any variation order. Do them all three. Ammo in your gun, water, and food. Stockpile. Okay? Imagine the worst case scenario as a prepper, having no manufacturing whatsoever for 10 to 20 years. Imagine the Great Depression on steroids because an EMP goes off and it takes 10 years straight before the electricity can come on, where our manufacturing base and economy can start up again. Think like that, and you would understand why it's more important to have a stockpile of everything you need, okay, than a lot of this frivolous bullshit that's going to break down anyways. Especially scopes. I dislike scopes. I like the red dot scope for a quick sight picture, and it's close within 25 yards of an enemy. That red dot sight is not, red dot sight is not going to help you at 300 yards. What happens is that reticle becomes bigger compared to the object you're aiming at. And so you really can't place it. Think about it, people. Stockpile and practice daily on your weapons. Practice daily on being really tactical, as in tactics. Not buying tactical shit when they take you to the cleaners and they made you believe you need it when you don't. If you can always shoot and have basic marksmanship skills up here, okay, those good weapons you purchase and that ammunition, along with a good stockpile of food and water for perhaps 2-3 months at least, are all you need to be tactical. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. And also, remember, tactical is also how you move throughout the day, too. It doesn't have to be anything negative, okay? But you'll always be anticipating the worst should something happen when you practice tactical. Always keeping your eyes open around you. Always knowing who you speak to in front of you, and then when you're moving forward, who's behind you. Okay? Keeping an open eyesight, an open peripheral view inside a store when you first enter. What's hiding on the other side of those shelves? Okay? Are there people here I don't remember before? Or are there people here I recognize from shopping before? That might put your mind at ease a lot. Okay? Some of those same people might even tip you off something bad is happening. Tactical. It means tactics. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.